the EMS ESL Team League, and we have two teams today. We got Complexity versus Property, and spawning here playing for Property. It's the Red Zerg player, Snuffe BB2. And of course, if you want to find more about him, this is his Twitter.
And his opponents down here in the bottom right-hand corner of this map. Belshir Vestige, it is the blue Terran player, coL the STC. And his Twitter.
With that alt-tab and copy-paste. Of course, you guys can also follow Complexity's Ryan, coL_RyanR, if you want to find more information about players, or I don't know what he does, quite frankly. Some scumbag random guy. The ZVT...
I believe he's a player manager.
I'm
not 100% certain.
Well, I've seen him play before, unless it's a different
Ryan. I know I've
Ryan.
seen him multiple occasions. I believe he plays Protoss too, or did at one point.
Snuffe coming out with that early drone scout, gonna do some harass. I can't tell you, Panda. I don't care whether it's a pro, whether it's Bronze League player. Nobody is happy dealing with that. Like, oh, I'm just gonna, build a barracks and be happy, and don't bother me while I do it. Drone's like, nom 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 nom. But actually,
this is an interesting scout timing. I believe he may actually be going for an EB block, in which case he will be sadly mistaken, as I think he's somewhat mistimed for that.
Well, the funny thing as well is it does actually make this drone scout kind of useless because there's nothing building at home for him to harass. And you know what? In the worst case scenario, if he misses this, he's got the minerals to go for a CC on the high ground. Actually,
yes.
does get here just in time.
Makes it just in time.
Oh my gosh, so clutch, so close.
You could not have played that better.
Oh, I will take a second at. Actually, the SCV is destroying that drone. Jeez, as he chases him off. But yeah, command center coming down on the low ground even. Snuffe gonna take a fight in the main, might actually lose this. Can the SCV get it before he gets out? He doesn't want him to scout, and he does. Very nicely done by the STC.
It's such a cute little animation. Oh, and it will be a supply depot here to block. He did not quite have enough minerals for the engineering bay at the time.
But you know what? It buys him time. It buys him a lot of time. And ladies and gentlemen, by the way, this is a recent addition. We're still refining it, but if you look here in the top right corner of the map, we do have the permanent worker display located up here, so hopefully you will enjoy that.
Yeah.
Okay, cancel. Thank goodness. That was close. That was about as long as he could have waited to cancel that supply depot, man.
Yeah.
But okay, the
Despite
Overlord...
it being 100 minerals, that's a lot in the early game. And we do have a gas, so this will be a Hellion follow-up. Meanwhile, Snuffe knows all.
Oh yeah, our property player has scouted, with command center on the low ground like that. It definitely says, like, okay, he went CC first. Question is, though, will he punish that?
Well, he's getting gas right now. This should be for speed, considering the timing. And I would not be surprised to see a little bit of Ling made. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
a pack of Lings, not necessarily a flood, Ling flood.
Yeah, I mean, some players just really go full in with like, oh, you're CC on the low ground, I'm going to absolutely all in you with Zerglings, maybe throw some Banelings in there and just punish the heck out of a Terran player, because the big catch to doing this is you're going to have almost no production. You're going to have no units on the field for a very long time, or at least not enough to deal with a swarm of units.
Yeah. We're definitely seeing a return of a lot of the Ling sloping all-in timings. You can be eco off of 2 base, or just... I know, I haven't even seen a hatch cancel. I forget what match that was from. I was pretty sure it was casting a Zotac. Saw a hatch cancel, 1 base bane bust. Ended up failing, unfortunately.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound like a very sound way to go about that. But yeah, with the factory coming out, my question for the SCC, of course, will be Hellions or Widow Mines, Panda?
Hellions first. Most likely. Depends on what scouting information this SCV does get, though.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Widow Mines, barely gets in there, doesn't quite see or confirm the lack of second gas, but Widow Mines I like...
What the gas? He knows nothing.
Oh, did he not see the other gas either? Oh no, he didn't. Didn't see either gas. That's a bit of a pain.
There's CC following up for the SEC. I actually like the positioning. I'm still going to copy this now.
This is actually great for walling, because a lot of Terran players struggle to get this giant gap closed in the early game, as it takes like what, like 8 supply depots or something ridiculous to get a full wall off without a bunker? So actually, I really do enjoy the positioning of this. This is a build order that, or build positioning that I never personally would have considered, and I do enjoy that he chose to do it. Now, as you said, Hellions coming out first. Not a bad choice. This will give him a lot of speedy map control, but the problem is, of course, if there's a lot of speedlings on the field, depending how engages go, he might be able to catch STC off guard before he can do any real damage with them.
Yeah, we should see 4 Hellions, then continued Widow Mine production, but this is a pretty big map, so I would not be surprised to see a few more. Continued drone production for Snuffe here, as he does get that 3rd base down, so he will not be going to any Lings on the field right now, simply has his queen. Spread and creep.
Yes.
Meanwhile, this lone wing of the third base, checking to see that it is not on location, but does scout his opponent's third building in his natural before it dies.
And with 4 Hellions finally out in the field, he can start looking to go potentially start cleaning up creep. Because of course 2 is nice, but you can't really do too much, as the Queens will ward them off quite nicely. But yeah, several Queens just dedicated to spreading creep right now. Snuff definitely on the ball with getting that map control as quickly as possible.
Yeah, definitely.
But oh, some
It goes so
Speaklings.
far on Belshir too. I mean,
Barbecue.
as long as you have a creep spread up until your third base, you can defend against drops with relative ease, even before you have Mutas out, and that is so huge for Zerg player.
Oh, I
But
love
as I said
this.
earlier,
STC catching these Zerglings.
yeah, barbecue has begun.
I
And
love
I
the
don't think
like.
it's gonna end here either.
I love when things die to fire in this game. It looks so cool. Like roaches, of course, melt units, which is kind of like I don't know if you ever played Fallout, but what? Ooh, Bad Panda lagging a little bit. Um,
So I'm just gonna drop. I'll watch on the stream.
yeah, still lagging out. Okay, goodbye, Panda. Good thing I had a lot of practice solo casting yesterday, I guess. Because that was a bit of a chore and a half. But STC, meanwhile, back at home, he's got some Widow Mines out. I do like that he's gone for a couple Widow Mines. I mean, you don't want to over-dedicate to them, but any amount of Zerglings in the early game, you're going to have to dedicate an intense amount of micro in order to get around Widow Mines, or just lose all of your units. And we've seen through players' Twitters, like, trying to dodge Widow Mines, go through those minefields, that really makes you frustrated very easily.
Yeah.
Well, Queen's gonna catch one of these Hellions. A little unfortunate, but STC gonna grab a Creep Tumor or 2 off of that. Oh, if he could bait the Queen's top of the Widow Mine, he might actually be able to pick one off quite easily. It does get low, of course, does not one-shot it, but STC not gonna follow that up, I guess. Zerg player actually going for Burrow as well. Not something you see too often anymore. I mean, it's been introduced, and we've seen some players like Stefano absolutely abuse Terran players with this, but Burrow, usually not used for anything more than harass in the early game. We don't have, I don't believe we have Infestor tech out yet, so yeah, Lair is only just on the way. Banes, though, I would love to see some old school Baneley mines come out in the field, and oh no, STC caught in a quite large amount of Zerglings, sadly. Does lose several of the Hellies, but man, that Widow Mine helps make up those losses, collecting quite a few kills. And of course, as we can see up here at the worker count, thank you for the input, part 2. We are actually planning to make the font bigger. This was just the only overlay I have available for EU at the moment. But yeah, you can see the worker count is still fairly even for the time being. Zergling's going to run right on in here to the third and definitely force a lift and maybe pick up a couple SCVs if STC does not respond. Marine's trying to get there in time, but the Zerglings will chase everything off. Not necessarily forcing a lift, but burrowing. Oh, I like this, because it's going to maybe bait out a scan, and if he does, he just unburrow, run away. Of course, STC, I don't know, did he see the actual burrow is my question, because we have a large follow-up of Zerglings coming into the natural at the same time. Supply depot currently down, and there's a hole in the wall as well. He's going to get right into the mineral lines at the natural, and while this will get cleaned up, he's going to pick off a couple SCVs before going down. Third base unburrowed as well, going to, oh, just ravage everything, gutting the mineral line, and STC finds himself in a little bit of trouble. And oh, I guess the other worker count is actually not accurate. So we will look into that later, guys. I'll take this overlay or the UI off. But another burrow here, providing so much harass for Snuff. I really love these tactics. I can safely say I haven't seen anyone do this with Zerglings. But okay, looks like, yeah, forcing that scan just like you wanted. Snuff kind of in control of the game for the time being, but look at this creep spread, man. He is just getting it all over the place. And STC, unfortunately, with this harass left and right, having so much trouble pushing out, being able to clean any of that up. And more burrowed Zerglings. Now, the thing is, like, while these guys aren't going to pop up and exactly kill a pack of Marines, free vision, free scouting information. He has them all over the place, and he knows, without worrying about losing an Overlord, like, what exactly is going on. And he has confirmation that STC is moving out with a sizable force. This is a lot of Marines and a couple Widow Mines. Fourth base, on the way for Snuff, is probably going to be forced to be cancelled because I don't see it standing up to this Marine force. And then meanwhile, we do have the Queens continuing to just do what they do. Banelings as well on the field. I believe he has speed complete. Yes, he does. So, I mean, these Marines on creep are going to have the best spread of their lives because there's no outrunning Banelings with speed on creep. And, oh, I like this too. Spore Crawler's in the middle of the map. For that extra detection, he doesn't want to find those Widow Mines. And he doesn't want to lose, I guess, Overseers trying to scout them. Something you'll often see Terran players do is just snipe off the Overseer. It becomes that much more frustrating to deal with. But Zergling's going to get in here. Nice surround. STC just getting, churned to green goo. As Snuff takes care of that force. Widowmine even picking off a couple units there. I'm surprised with the Overseer it hasn't been dealt with, but there are still several Marines and a couple Widowmines on the other half of the map. Trying to clean up some of these creep tumors, but there's a lot of Banelings left, and a beautiful pickup will allow STC to get out with several of these Marines left alive. Widowmine's going to be cleaned up by the Queens and the Overseers in the meantime. But the one thing is, forcing the cancel on this base, burning a Widowmine even, kind of employing some reverse Zerg tactics here, will keep our Zerg player on 3 bases. And a 3-base Zerg versus 3-base Terran, not a situation you necessarily want to find yourself in. That's not to say that Snuff's going to lose the game because of this or anything, but you always, as a Zerg player, your units are very expendable, you want to have that extra base and a lot of extra income to replace all those very expendable units. Widowmine does get taken down there. I wasn't sure what the Queens are attacking. But oh my god, he's catching so many of these Banelings, forcing the cancel. Really nice here for the STC, as he does not want to be caught by another pack of Banelings just like he was before. Third base up here mining quite happily for Snuffball. Or I guess not Snuffball, Snuff BBL. BB2 rather. My mistake, guys. Just reading that real quick. But yeah, Snuff, I mean, he's dealt with everything nicely so far. He's got Mutalisks, Banelings, and Zerglings. A great composition to deal with this, because if STC lifts up, he's going to get caught by the Mutalisks. Our target firing down the medevacs. Ooh, several Marines actually eating some of the Banelings. Not too bad, actually. Quite a nice trade in retrospect when you want to get rid of several Banelings for the cost of 1 or 2 Marines. Dropping out like this will, of course, continue to eat the Banelings, and that's fine, but you can't lose these medevacs to the Mutalisks. Widowmine's going off. STC has them randomly all over the place. He's cleaned out the natural with drops in the meanwhile, as well at the main. Drones being burrowed to save them. I love this. This is Snuff utilizing burrow to its fullest extent. But these Marines, nicely spread out, will take several Banelings to clean everything up. Mutalisks just now popping. Meanwhile, the Mutalisks in the middle of the field appear to have cleaned out most of that force. And STC, look at the resources lost, has caused quite a bit of damage to our Zerg player. Workers lost at this point as well. Actually, somewhat even. But Snuff's got a lot of Mutalisks on the field. How many? 18 exactly. And the Widowmines are great, but unfortunately they don't one-shot Mutalisks. It takes quite a few hits to take these guys down, and of course they do have that insane regen. Missile turret here at the third base will keep it alive a little bit longer, but there's so many Marines here, Snuff should not hang around. Find himself in a bit of trouble. Widowmine going off on Zerglings again. Like, I love this. He has them so randomly placed all over the map that it's not proper for Snuff to methodically search for them. But Mutalisks are being pushed back once more. And reassessing what's going on, there's almost no mining coming here at Snuff's second. His main, alright, had to have workers replacing, but his third base is where most of everything's going on, and he still doesn't have that fourth. Widowmine here has not been cleaned up despite being scouted by the Overlord. And the Marine force in the middle of the field. Banelings are burrowed. Will he burrow them? Nah! Beautiful spread out of STC at the very last second. I mean, if he had waited 1 second longer, he would have lost the entirety of his Marine force. He still might, actually. Mutalisks coming in to clean this up. Zerglings swarming right underneath an STC with, again, continual drops all over the map while this goes on. Widowmine's aiding these drops immensely, causing tons of damage. Losing so many more workers is Snuff. Third base under assault as well. Out of range of the spine crawler, just picking off workers at the gas extractors by the looks of it. Main is cleaned up, natural, going to be dropped by a couple Marines, but there's not too many in this drop. But STC is all over the map. His multitasking is superb this game. Snuff, though, not exactly reacting poorly. He is cleaning these drops up, but again, he's limited in what he can do. He's lost so many workers this game. There's only 43 on the field for him to the 71 of STC. Again, ignore these numbers. I'll change my UI afterwards. We didn't realize that would be an issue. And again, here come the creep tumors. Despite there being pretty much 100 in the middle of the map, STC is going to clean most of them up. Banelings morphing in, and he's definitely got to wait for these Banelings. There's no way for him to engage the STC without them, but STC with some amazing splits all game. I'm quite shocked we don't even have like the desperate, infestor go for that fungal because my Banelings can't connect move. And again with that pickup, he will lose quite a few Marines, but pick up a Mutalisk or two. Queens with, actually does barely transfuse those Mutalisks, keeping them alive, but here comes the drop to the main once more. STC never giving us a break, always keeping up with the action, taking his 4th and 5th bases, feeling almost like a complete role reversal in this particular matchup. Natural base still has a Widowmine here that I guess has not been cleaned up. Spore Crawler on the way. It's picked off a couple more drones in the meanwhile, but STC pushing forward once more. I can't believe the amount of damage these Widowmines have done all game. Queens running for their lives. Baneling's here to back them up, but I don't know that Snuffball has enough forces to deal with this. If it weren't for the Widowmines, maybe he could engage this fight head on, but all game he's been taking heavy losses. Widowmine's again going to pick off a couple units, cause a lot of damage to these clumped up Mutalisks. Drop, where did it go? In the main. And looks like Snuff wants to get aggressive. There is a missile turret here at the 5th base location of STC. Same with Marines. Beautiful reaction time on that repair, but meanwhile, Marines might actually pick off the spawning pool, and Snuff is relying so heavily on Zerglings and Banelings. He cannot afford to lose that crucial tech structure. Oh, STC with some great splits. Will not actually be able to pick this off just yet, but he's got a huge, massive bio heading towards the newly formed 4th base of Snuff, and Snuff just doesn't have anything here to defend it. He's been all over the map chasing STC. STC left, STC right. Where does he go? Well, not the 4th base location because it's about to fall. Meanwhile, the units are posturing here. He doesn't have enough Banelings with this. I feel 5, 6 Banelings with these splits, with these Widow Mines, will not be enough, and the base does go down. Oh, and he's going to come in here. Widowmine splash damage going to hurt our Terran player just as much as the Zerg, but the Banelings actually connect with a lot. Regardless, though, GG coming out of Snuff.